Hello everyone, Bailey Whittle from Deep Creek Middle School here, and in today's video I will be showing you how to make these clickable buttons down here to post below your virtual classroom. This is the second in a 3-video series. In the first video I showed you how to make an image like this, your virtual classroom with your Bitmoji and animated text. Today, like I said, I'll be showing you how to make these buttons, which take you to folders in your Schoology course. And in our last video, I will show you how to put this all together and post it in Schoology. With that, let's get started. Alright, I am here in my Schoology Google Drive folder, and we are going to go ahead and go to New and Slides, because we will be using Google Slides for the first part of our button making. Just like we did in the last video, you can go ahead and get rid of the themes box and these two boxes, so we have a completely blank slide. And then I am going to name this interactive buttons, just so I know what this presentation is going to be. Now, the first thing we want to do is make a background for our buttons. And we're going to do this by going to Background. Now, you can do this two different ways. You can do Choose Image, Google Image Search, and then search for some sort of fancy background you want to use, like watercolor, for example. We could pick, actually I like that one better. We could pick this and use a pretty watercolor image for our background. Or, if you want to keep it plain and simple, you can just change the color and do that. So your choice, you can either pick an image or a color. I'm going to leave it as a color just so that it's easier for you to see what I'm doing. Now that we have our background color, we're going to put an overlay on top of it so that we can read the text for our buttons better. To do this, I'm going to go up here to this shape button, to shapes, and I'm going to pick the rounded rectangle just because I like that a little bit better than the sharp corners of a regular rectangle, but that's personal preference, so you pick whichever one you want. Now, what you need to do is you want to click and drag until you get it in the center where those red crosshairs line up. So that now has it centered in my image. And I actually do like the distance I have around the edges. If you wanted to make it smaller or bigger, press and hold the Control key on your keyboard and then drag out from the edges. You'll notice that the shape is getting larger on all four sides rather than just from the corner that I'm dragging it. If I do not hold the Control key, if I do not hold the Control key, it shrinks it that way. If I do, it shrinks or enlarges the whole thing. So the Control key is a really good way to make sure that your shape stays the same while just making it larger or smaller. Now, if you want to change the color of this shape, you're going to come up here to the fill bucket and then you can pick whichever color you want. I'm just going to go with the default light purple. You could get fancy with a gradient that Google Slides has. But like I said, I'm going to keep things just to the plain solid color. Now, there are two ways that you can do the text for your buttons. The first is with this text box here. So if we click and drag this and then have it take up the majority of the box, let's say we're going to make this one say first quarter. Just like we did with our whiteboard in the first video, you want to center a line and then middle a line so it is in the middle of your box. And then I'm going to change the font and the size, and instead of clicking like a madman, let me try and go up here. Now this looks fine. We can change it to white text and see if that stands out, which it doesn't. But I don't like using the regular text box for a specific reason. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that. And we're actually going to go to Insert and Word Art. Now what you'll do here is in this little pop-up, you'll type whatever text you want to appear. So let's put first quarter in there. And then when I hit enter, you see that it shows up with an outline. So with this, I can change the inside color to white, the outside color to black, and then I can change the size of the outline so it stands out a little more. Now, I don't like that they're next to each other, so to edit the text of your word art, you need to double click and the pop-up shows up again. Now this text down here says use enter to save or use shift plus enter for multiple lines. So I'm going to click in between first and quarter and then hit shift enter on my keyboard. So that way the quarter has moved down a line, and then I'm going to hit enter to save. And you'll notice that it now appears on two lines like this. I like that much better. The next thing I'm going to do is change my font, and I'm just going to go with the same one I used earlier. Again, if you want to find different fonts in this list than what Google has by default, come up here to this More Fonts button, and then you can search for what you're looking for by display, which is like larger fonts that are easier to read, or handwriting, things like that. So now that I have my text in the font I want, and it looks like a good size. If you do need to change the size of your text, same thing we did to resize this box. You want to press and hold the Control key on your keyboard and then change the size as needed. But I liked it where it was before, so let me shrink it back down. And then same thing, I want it to be centered, so I'm going to click and drag until the red crosshairs appear and make sure it's in the middle of my page. And with that, there is my first button. Now, to make the rest of your buttons, this is all you need to do. Come over here to your slide, right click on it and click copy, and then you're going to hit Control V on your keyboard and just duplicate this slide for however many buttons you have. I'm only going to do 4 just so I can show you how to change the text and everything. Then you'll come to your next slide, double click on the word art to change it. I want this one to say second quarter, and then I'm just going to drag it back so that it's in the center with the red crosshair. This one will be third quarter. Same thing, center it with the red crosshairs. And last one will be fourth quarter. And again, center it in the crosshairs. One thing I like to do is I do like to go into present mode just to make sure I like the way the button looks. I'm not going to be doing that for this video, but that's just one way you can double check everything. Now, just like with our Bitmoji Classroom, how we went to File, Download, PNG, you will need to do that for all of your button slides. So I only have 4 buttons, so I'm only going to do this on all 4 of my slides, but it's Download, PNG. You'll see the first one down there. So just do this for all of the buttons that you have made. And then I'm just going to pop into my downloads folder, and you can see here are the 4 buttons that I have made. Let's go back to Google Chrome, and then I'm going to go back to my Schoology Drive folder. Now you need to make a new Google Docs. So to do this, you're going to click on New and then Google Docs. Wait for that to load in. I'm going to title this Interactive Button Table. The next thing I'm going to do is go to File, Page Setup, and I'm going to change the orientation to Landscape. So that way I have a larger space to work with. And what we want to do here is we want to insert a table for the number of buttons that we have. So I only made 4 buttons for this video, so I'm going to do a 2 by 2. But if we pop over to my Schoology course really quick, you'll see I have 8 buttons down here. Some people have even done 10 for a 5 by 2, but just create a table that does whatever size you need. Now what we need to do here is make sure your black cursor is inside the first cell of the table, and you want to go to Insert, Image, Upload from Computer. And what we want to select is our buttons that we've downloaded here. So my first box is going to have first quarter. I'm going to move my cursor to the second box and do Insert, Image, Upload from Computer, second quarter button. Move cursor to the third box, Insert, Image, Upload from Computer, third quarter. Cursor to the fourth box, Insert, Image, Upload from Computer. And if you are on a Windows computer and you don't have this preview here, this button in the pop-up will change the view, because it might be a list like this, so you can change it to icons so you can make sure you're selecting the right image. And fourth quarter. Now, you will be flipping back and forth between your Schoology course and this document, so make sure you have both pulled up. To insert a link onto a picture, you want to select it so that the blue box appears around the outside edge. Then, you're going to click this hyperlink chain up here for Insert Link, and this pop-up will appear. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to my Schoology course, and I'm going to scroll down to my materials. So I want the buttons that we've just made to link to my first, second, third, and fourth quarter folders. So to get this link, you can click on the folder for first quarter, come up here to your address bar, select the whole thing, Control C on your keyboard, go back to your Google Doc, select the image, insert hyperlink, Control V on your keyboard, and apply. Now to test that the hyperlink has gone through correctly, if you click on the image, it should pop up down here saying here is the hyperlink that this image will go to. So let me do that one more time with the second quarter folder. I'm going to go to my materials page in Schoology, scroll down to what I want it to link to, in this case the second quarter, click on the folder, click in my address bar to select the whole hyperlink, Control C to copy, go back to my button table, select my image, hyperlink chain, Control V to paste, and then apply. And these two now have their hyperlinks. Now let me show you a shortcut way to get the hyperlinks for the third and fourth quarter. So if I go back to my Materials tab, instead of clicking on each folder, you can right-click on the folder name and then click Copy Link Address. If I do that, that gets the link that this folder leads to. So now that I've copied the address, if I go back to my button table, I can select the image, Control K on your keyboard pulls up the link box, Control V to paste, and then enter. And now, if I click on this to test it, you'll see that my third quarter folder has popped up. So same thing, right-click on fourth quarter, copy link address, back to the button table, select the image, Control K to pull up the link box, Control V to paste, and enter to apply. And now if I click on each of my images, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 hyperlinks in there. And now we are done. The last thing that I'm going to do, and this is just to clean everything up, is I'm going to select the outline of my table here, and I want to change the border color to white because I don't want it to show up. Now you can do this one by one. Wait until your cursor changes to this line with the arrows on either side. Click to select the border. come up here to the little pencil and then change it to white. But you also can press and hold the control key on your keyboard and do control clicks. So I am holding the control key right now, which means that I can select multiple at one time. So instead of doing it one by one, it goes a little bit faster. So I'm just going to change the border colors on this really quick. And now we are done. So I now have 4 buttons over top of each other. If you click on the image, you'll see that the link pops up, and each one will link to a new folder in Schoology. So really quick, just to recap, we made our buttons in Google Slides first. We went to File, Download, PNG, and downloaded each of our buttons. Then we made a table in Google Docs, inserted each image, and then attached a hyperlink to each image. In the next video, I will show you how to upload those buttons and your classroom image to Schoology so that you can get this awesome homepage greeting for your students when they log in. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.